Welcome back, ladies and gents. I hope you're all having an amazing start to your Friday. In today's video, we need to talk about the Bitcoin charts. Of course, taking a look at Ethereum and Chainlink as well. Bitcoin bears have given us another move to the downside into the CME area of interest, which we discussed in yesterday's video. However, is this a support that will hold price? Right now, we're seeing quite a nice bounce to the upside from this region. Most importantly, we have to look at the volume and open interest, as even though we are having moves to the downside, we're seeing very low volume backing this region. So could this be potentially a good sign for the bulls out there? We're also going to be getting into the spot price action here, taking a look at the volume, of course, but most importantly, the momentum oscillators here, which are showing us a potential cross to the upside, confirming on this next 4-hour closure. Now, why is this important? Because as you guys remember, we have been in short positions from $36,000, taking profits to the downside. We've spoken about multiple trading opportunities here, as we did find acceptance back into the range here, giving us a support resistance flip, a very simple trading opportunity, as even if you did miss the short positions here at $36,000, that was also a nice opportunity. Now, in yesterday's video, we also looked at some more here, which we will discuss, and I will of course be sharing with you my thoughts on more trading opportunities in today's video. But before we do start, I wanted to quickly thank you guys so much for the support in the last two videos. I truly do appreciate it. I've read and replied to every comment that I've seen. I'm truly appreciative for all of you. I do mean that, guys. That is very, very nice to see that you guys are here for me and for the content that I post every single day. So it's very nice to see. I appreciate all of you. And without any further ado, let's get right into the analysis. So I want to start off taking a look at and giving you guys an update on the opportunities that we spoke about in yesterday's video. So as you guys know, we like to go through these trading opportunities as we have been inside of a very nice range, even on the high time frames. Now, this was our bearish order block that we found acceptance back into, got a little bit of a retest, and drove to the downside. Now, while we were driving to the downside, we had momentum down, we had support broken, and actually support retested with a lower low and lower high structure being put in. As you can see, lower highs here, and then finally creating this lower low. And so in yesterday's video, we spoke about a potential trading opportunity of a bounce to the upside and a retest right here as a short position, right? Because we had broken our channel that we had been ranging in since the 28th of June. That was some scalping opportunities back to our local support, right? Taking a look at the 3.5% move that we had to the downside here, we had a move down into the point of control. Even if we are just not looking at the channel that we broke to the downside, we can see right here that we had the value area high of the monthly profile. Breaking that to the downside gives us a high probability basically of, at the very least, testing the upper point of control and the lower point of control. Now, as you can see, we've had two tests of the upper point of control here. However, they've come on very low volume. Most importantly, we're seeing our 4-hour stochastic here start to cross the upside. This may be confirmed on the next candle closure. So if that comes with a move above and back inside of the range, that could be perceived as a very bullish sign for the bulls, at least for a temporary bounce to the upside. So if you guys remember, once again, the reason we picked up our short positions was, of course, because we had our bearish order block up here with very nice confluence and with very nice rejections. For example, on the 25th of June, we had a rejection from 35,000 all the way down to 30,000. I won't get too much into it, but we had momentum coming down as well. But right now, what we're seeing is a move back into the support with low volume, which is not what you want to see for a sustainable move. We want to see increase in volume on the move to the downside, and we are seeing our momentum oscillators flip here. But what is still important, and more important in fact, is if we take a look at our 12-hour, we have rejected from the resistance that was very important to us. This is a resistance from the 3rd of May. We've taken a look at this as this was some major highs inside of the market. That was actually the $59,000 high, bringing us down to $50,000 or $52,900, sorry. And then the second hit was an important one, back at our high time frame resistance at 41,000, bringing us down to 28,000. We have rejected from this region right now, and we did ride that momentum to the downside, at least temporarily, but we are still holding the bullish control territory. So it's very important for the bulls to put in some work over the next 24 to 48 hours to be able to drive the momentum on the lower time frames, such as the 4-hour that we spoke about, to the upside, to be able to flip this on the 12-hour, which is our medium time frame, and be able to hold this bullish control territory. So it is still very important to be watching that, but at the end of the day, since we are trading a little bit of a lower time frame, let's say such as a 4-hour, we can definitely be looking for these opportunities on the lower time frames with the stochastic driving to the upside, and actually look at a move above and into the neutral zone around this area to be good for the bulls. Now, it is very important that we look at this as a temporary bounce until the high time frame momentums start to flip back to the upside. Then we can start to look for some more longing opportunities. So like I said, we did break back below the value area low, so that gives us high probabilities of testing the point of control, and in fact the value area low as well. But we have not broken this support right now, so we can be looking for longing opportunities, especially since if we go onto the lower time frames, such as a 15-minute here, we can see multiple moves down into the S1 support. If we are shorting the daily pivot, where are we generally looking to take profits? We're looking to take profits at the S1 here. And we've had multiple moves down to the S1, and we have also had swing failure patterns backing that, right? And that means that we have taken out the lows and actually closed back above this region, okay? Not this one right here, but on these 2 wicks here, we did take out the lows from earlier on in the day, and now we are driving back to the upside into that daily pivot. We need to find acceptance back into this region, and this is a trade we also took in the group as it was just an amazing opportunity to let go, right? And so taking a look at the CME charts here, which is going to be very important, we can see a partial fill off the CME gap. So taking a look at a partial fill here, we want to be looking at not a full fill always on the CME gaps, because if you have been looking at the Bitcoin charts for a while, you would know that it loves to go for partial fills off these CME gaps, and usually does not like those kind of full fills at times, right? We are on the 1-day time frame, so let's go on to the 1 hour. But as you can see, we've dipped into that region that we spoke about yesterday, which was the CME gap, which was the weekly pivot as well. We didn't quite hit the weekly pivot, of course, not just yet at the very least, but we have seen a partial fill with a swing failure pattern off these lows as well, which is very important to actually take note of, because like I said at the start of the video, this is on low volume, right? We have not seen that really bearish volume come in that you would like to see upon a break of an important region. So what I would be looking at here is actually going onto the high time frames and deciding where is going to be our key support region. So I will be uploading this video a little bit earlier on today, and the New York session is going to be very important. So when the stock market does open, it's going to be very important for bulls to at least find acceptance back into the range. And if they do not, it is still not the end of the world, as we have some massive support coming in at the value area low of our monthly profile at $31,869. So based on the high time frames, for us to actually stay bullish and create another high and be able to, more importantly, set in a higher low from our dips that we had last weekend, we want to actually be holding this region or anywhere like where we are right now, actually. So overall, that is the important support region. I don't want to see a move down to the monthly S1, because if we do see a move down to the monthly S1, then that is going to be breaking this little high-low structure that we have right now. So anticipating this high-low structure is going to be very good as well, because then we can be looking for a potential reversal higher up inside of the range. So definitely keep that level in mind, as that is going to be very, very important. Now, a very quick update on the daily stochastic here. We've seen our 12-hour flip, but you actually have not seen the daily flip just yet. And we're actually inside of the neutral territory right now, which is overall still good for bulls. So no confirmations to the downside based on the daily. The volatility index here did slightly rise on our move to the downside, but still playing out that larger range, which we've discussed over the last really 40 days that we've been inside of this range. We've been expecting no breakouts until the start of July. At least that's what I have been speaking about, because that is about 70% full on the VIX here. And that means that by the time this does increase and expand, then we can be looking for a another move outside of this larger range. Now, where is the larger range? Of course, we've got resistance of $42,000 here and support down at the $30,000 level. We won't get into that because you guys have heard me say it many times. I feel like a broken record sometimes, but overall, this is going to be very important because we want to keep in mind the higher time frames always. Even if you're trading the lower time frames, it's very important to keep these things in mind, to look for these structures that can potentially actually occur in the side of this region. So once we see momentum come back into the market on the lower time frames to the medium time frames, we can get in on that momentum with a reclaim of resistance. So the first resistance to reclaim would of course be back inside of the old range that we had. And if you wanted to be very safe with this, it is a little bit far away from price action right now, but inside of such a large range, you want to be, some people like to be a little bit safer than not. So back above the monthly pivot around $35,000. And I think at that point, that would give us a good sign that we could potentially be breaking that bearish order block that has been acting as such big resistance. So I think that that's really about it for Bitcoin here. Going on to, so the volume, open interest was coming down as well. We don't really need to look at that. Volume, really not great. Open interest coming down on the move. There's profit takers in this region. There's short positions taking profits from the regions we spoke about. So that's what it's really showing me right now. For a sustainable move to the downside, I want to see those increase, and we would have to watch this very closely. So that's about it for Bitcoin here. Like I said, it will be an earlier upload, and we'll try to get through this content as quickly as possible because we have spoken about a lot of the same things over these last few days and weeks. So let's go on to the weekly here. I want to take a look at this with you guys. So let's go on to the Discord here. So let's go on to the winning trade section. I want to take a look at a few scalp positions that I had today. Haven't posted all of these. I did post, of course, in the Discord here with our swing fails off those lows and going back into our point of control support. They were some nice longing opportunities, but just closing out some more short positions. You guys know we had short positions from the $35,124 level. Now, this is on my main account, one of my main accounts. So I've actually kept a little bit of this until we can get back inside of that channel. And that is because I don't trade BTC USDT, I trade BTC USD. So I want to stay a little bit hedged on that, but taking more profits on that one, which we discussed yesterday, and more so on the move to the downside today. And we had an absolutely fantastic trading opportunity at $33,745 today. That was the exact trading opportunity that I spoke about with you guys in yesterday's video. So of course, everyone gets these live in the Discord group. However, I do like to speak about them sometimes on the YouTube videos as well, because they help you guys understand the thought process, right? We try to go through our trades every single day here because they are kind of important, right? If I've told you guys that I'm going to be potentially looking for an SR flip here and going to be trading it to the downside, of course, I want to be taking those trades, right? I don't just want to be giving you guys a random analysis. So we had a move to the upside here, back to our $33,800 region. This morning, we had a move above the daily pivot, and we basically backtested and had another SR flip off the resistance point, and then we rode that to the downside. If we are actually shorting the daily pivot or around the daily pivot, where's going to be your general target? It is going to be the S1. That is quite a nice move off around to the lows of around 3.5%. So like to see that, and I would like to see this actually held in the US session today. If that is lost, then we can be going for those deeper moves into that weekly pivot on the CME chart. But as you guys know, I like to take profits on these, and so we have been taking profits on the way down. We had a small long position here to the upside, $32,851, closing at $33,000 around 100, and that was because we actually came down to our S1 support. So this was on the bounce to the upside, and we ended up taking profits on that. So about a 1% bounce inside of the range, and then going down a little bit further here, $33,090. Once I close this bounce to the upside, since we set in another lower high, as you can see, we have a high, a low, and a lower high here. You could be looking at it as another lower high. So overall structure was down, especially on the 5-minute time frame, and we did see a bounce to the upside. So that was good enough to pick up another scalp position for me with a very low risk scalp position, because I could be looking at a flip of this structure, meaning if we were to take this out, we would be looking at it as getting right out. However, coming down and fishing the lows on low volume gives us enough reason to close this short position and then end up going through with it. So as you guys can see, you guys are absolutely killing it as well. So very, very nice to see here also. So to wrap this up for Bitcoin, we need to get back above the channel on a high time frame closure, let's say around this region, because that is actually the last breakdown point. So $34,146. I want to see some 4-hour closures above there. I want to see a base built like we are actually building right now, but we need to actually see momentum start to flip back up. And that is when we can start to look for even more long positions. But like I just showed you guys, when we come back to local support, it is very valid that we can look for those longing opportunities. Not always, but depending on the trade itself, that is quite a nice one indeed. So remember guys, you're not going to be winning in every single trade. As I had already let you guys know, I did short the EQ here at around 35,700. As I had already let you guys know in the video, I was trading the bearish order block that we had. We ended up pushing up higher from 35,700. We took a slight loss right above the EQ here, but once we found acceptance back into the bearish order block, we started to short this at $36,000 again, and we went through those trades as well. So it's important to know that you need to be using lower risk in every single trade, or a fair amount of risk, right? Using the correct position sizing and correct risk management to be able to stay on top of the market. Overall, we've had one trade stopped out this week out of the many that we've had and even discussed here on the YouTube channel. So I do like to see that. It has been a very nice range, guys, okay? So a lot of people think bear markets are a little bit harder to trade, but ultimately just sticking to your plan, sticking to your regions of support and resistance, even if you're not trading any other kind of confluences here and looking at your momentum oscillators, that is going to keep you ahead of the market. And of course, staying patient for the right trades. So we have come back to, if we go ahead and pull a fib from these highs to these lows, we've taken out that 0.5 here, but it's actually at the range golden pocket. So you can see how nicely we're actually rejecting from the 0.618 to the 0.65 Fibonacci regions here, Fibonacci levels, and actually coming to the downside a little bit more. So those confirmations are what I would be looking at. And now let's go on to the Ethereum USD charts. I've just gone ahead and typed that out. So let's go on to the Ethereum USD charts. Not typing out Ethereum, but the ticker itself. So the 15-minute time frame. This has been a big week for me, guys. I need to definitely take some time off tonight on Friday and go ahead and come back with a fresh mind on Sunday. So taking a look at the 15-minute time frame, let's go on to the 4-hour actually, and what we can see is Ethereum did come down to that weekly pivot. I believe we spoke about this as a very important support region for me. So we are on the Bybit chart. I think we're just going to start charting this on the Bybit chart because it's much better in my personal opinion. So we've come down to the weekly pivot. We have obviously front ran this. I'm not saying we've actually just tested it completely, but that's the important support region we need to be watching still, $1,978. Now, holding this support region is ultimately good. Breaking it is not good because we would be taking a look at this region where we actually had resistance turning into support and an impulse to the upside from around 1,980 once we regain the weekly pivot, which is a very important region. Where's your general target? It's going to be the R1. We did move our way into that high time frame resistance we spoke about, but ultimately you don't want to be taking out, or price action should not be taking out this region because that would give us another spike to the downside. But with everything we spoke about on Bitcoin right now, with those confirmations occurring for Bitcoin, well, Ethereum is likely not going to be breaking this. Remember that it is going to be the weekend, so there's going to be a lot of kind of chop potentially and potentially moves to the downside, but that's why we need to carefully look at the momentum oscillators, look at the volume to see what we can gather from it. And right now, Ethereum does not look like Bitcoin just yet here, but it is coming down to an area that we have built a base around on the 4-hour time frame. Since the 19th of June. That was our bounce from around $2,139, coming up about 6% here. Then the second bounce we actually saw at the lows. This is a very similar stochastic trend line on the Bitcoin chart. So as you can see, these are basically trading the exact same, right? With different regions to be watching because there's different prices and different kind of volume profiles, etc. So about a 34% bounce from the last bounce that we had from the stochastic support, and now we're testing it once again. So this is very important that we actually do bounce here. And if we can get a bounce from this region with momentum coming back to the upside into the neutral zone, I think that this could be a nice low inside of the market next to the weekly pivot. But remember, breaking the weekly pivot, be targeting somewhere around, at the very least, the golden pocket here. But I do want to put on our monthly profile to take a look at this. So the monthly profile here. So breaking back below the weekly pivot, we actually have the value area high off the range as well inside of that region. So remember, we shorted the value area high on the Bitcoin charts. So because of the fact that if we break back below the value area high here, we have quite high probabilities of moving back down to, at the very least, a point of control. So that's why in this region here, the weekly pivot is even more important, because the value area high for Ethereum does line up with the weekly pivot. We don't want to see closures below there, or that would give us high probabilities of targeting, at the very least, the upper point of control at $1,862 down to around $1,838, which is the lower point of control. And that would be quite a nice buying opportunity, at least for a scalp position. And then we've got the value area low lining up with the S1 as well. So I like to see that. That's the region that I've stuck to as the main support, the weekly pivot. And we have had other regions that we've been trading as well. But ultimately, I like how these are in confluence here. And that's what you want to see in the market. You want to see confluence to give you a higher probability trade and to give you a high probability of the trade really coming off, right? But at the end of the day, this is kind of the analysis that we've stuck to, right? Inside of the range, we had a head and shoulder on the lower time frames. We've been in a downtrend, but now Ethereum is really trying to build a base within this region, just like Bitcoin is on that 1 day time frame. We spoke about the potential higher lows. So now let's move on to Link USD. Let's take a look at our Binance chart here. And as for Link USD, we are still inside of this larger range. We had a head and shoulder just like Ethereum. We continue with this downtrend, but we're finally broken above the median. Now we are below the weekly pivot, similar to Bitcoin here. But what I want to look at with you guys is a break above the weekly pivot would give us a very nice probability of pushing back to the upside. Now that is because we are trying to cross up here on the 4-hour time frame on the stochastic on our momentum oscillator. So your confirmations for the opportunities to the upside would be 1822. I would say some 4-hour closes above there. We need to see volume. We need to see open interest backing that. And that would give us some nice moves to the upside that will be a little bit low risk. But of course, remember that we are testing the median, and we've gotten pretty damn close to this median a few times. So as long as we can hold the median of the channel, I don't have too much wrong to say about Chainlink, apart from the fact that it is in a high time frame downtrend still. But this is really the bull's chance. So we don't want to be seeing any moves back below the upper point of control at 1698, which is also in confluence with the median of the channel. Breaking below there, that is going to give us some high probabilities of moving further down inside of the range, because as you can see right now, we have set in a downtrend. So this is what I was trying to explain for Ethereum, right? Ethereum chart looks exactly like this. So if you guys don't look at anything here and you actually just look at this region, how much does this look like Ethereum? We had a break above the weekly pivot. We back tested the weekly pivot, a little bit of an SR flip before continuing to the upside from around 1827 to around $20, which is a fantastic longing opportunity. Front running the R1 a little bit, coming back to the weekly pivot. Ethereum hasn't tested it yet, but we did actually end up breaking the weekly pivot for Chainlink, which means that once support is broken, we can look for shorting opportunities here. We came up to this point of control, so about a 6.4% rejection from there, but now we need to actually reclaim that resistance, or else we could be looking at the weekly pivot still as the most important resistance on the charts. So Chainlink, Ethereum, still like Bitcoin, medium time frame momentum such as a 12-hour coming down. Could we have another bearish kind of weekend here? Because a lot of things can happen on the weekend. There's low liquidity. We did have a big dip to the weekend, in the weekend last time, and that is why ultimately, if we have such big trading weeks as we do every single week here, we don't want to be, or at least I don't want to be trading on the weekends too much, unless it is a very high time frame level, just like the setup that I showed you guys in the start of the week for Bitcoin, right? We saw the $30,000 low be set in, a high, a lower time frame uptrend, be formed, and that channel that we spoke about. So we ended up going long at 31,000. So that's really the only way I would do it. Once I see some strength, or once I see a very nice and juicy trade, then I would be getting into it. But overall, especially on Saturdays, I wouldn't be looking for any opportunities right now. We've had a great trading week. Time to take some time off the charts and reset for the new trading week, guys. It's very important to firstly be mindful of your health, be mindful of your body, and that's when you're going to stay consistent with trading, right? You want to be very healthy in the mind, in the body, to be able to stay consistent and to be able to make the correct decisions and have the right decision making basically in the market. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you have enjoyed it, go ahead and leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel. I would very much appreciate it. And if you haven't clicked the bell icon, definitely be sure to do that, because even people that have usually do not get these notifications. And I should probably be saying this at the start of the videos, but yeah, so thank you guys so much. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll catch you in tomorrow's one.